What a week it has been, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Xbox gamers and gamettes. We're the X1 Bros.
Nice intro.
This is your positive gaming and Xbox.
Have you been working on that?
I just winged it right there.
Wow.
So I took a big sip of caffeine and bam!
He's back in the game.
Daddy's back.
Oh, baby.
As always, I'm joined by the Bros, the X1 Bros. First, it's Mr. McSpicy.
Hello, how's it going?
Then there's Jordan the Man.
Hello.
And last but not least, I am X1. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We had a fantastic pre-show. It was a blast.
Really
we did some reminiscing. So for those of you that are new, that are listening, come join us on YouTube, youtube.com/X1Bros. Also join us over in our Discord page, which all the links are over on YouTube. Come join us.
Yeah, we stream the podcast, like the recording of it live. So we have a chat room, everything. Pre-show, we go down some roads,
We go
maybe
hard.
that we
Hard, hot, and heavy. The three
maybe
H's.
shouldn't
the
go
triple
down.
H. Hard, hot, heavy.
The Triple H.
Triple H of life.
But no, yeah, I had a really good time on this pre-show.
Yeah, it
this was
fun.
a lot of fun.
It was a lot of
so,
fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of big news this week. In fact, we might as well bring up like a trailer for it, I guess. I don't know. The Steam Deck.
Sure, yeah.
Steam Deck was announced this week. Now, you ask yourself, what the does that have to do with the Xbox?
Well, you can start off with what is that?
Yeah, true. The Steam Deck, which I think is actually poor naming because there's the Stream Deck from Elgato.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, like I was a little confused on the name. Anyways, the Steam Deck, everybody, Valve announced this week, and this is a portable PC gaming device. And you're thinking, well, isn't that just a laptop? No, this is like the Nintendo Switch of Valve.
It's kind of the next iteration of the NVIDIA Shield. You remember? You remember the
That's
Shield?
right,
I feel like it's like the next step up from that. You know?
It is, yes. It was announced this week, and Phil Spencer actually tweeted about it after it was announced. He tweeted at Valve Software. He said, quote, "This looks really great. Congrats to the team at Valve Software on getting so many of us excited to be able to take our games with us wherever we decide to play." Couple things stand out to me about that tweet. Number one, take our games wherever we decide to play. That is exactly what Phil Spencer has said. That's been Xbox model. Play wherever you want, whenever you want, however you want. And I think secretly, Phil Spencer is super stoked because Valve just created the portable Xbox for them.
Well, I think there is, because we don't really know anything about, let's say, deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think he either talked to Valve or Valve has decided to put Game Pass on there. Because if you notice, we're watching the trailer right now.
Yeah.
If you notice, a lot of the games that they're showing are games that are on Game Pass. Control, Doom, Jedi, which is EA Play Game Pass. Last Jedi.
Yeah.
A lot of games.
Maybe.
And it was
I didn't
front and
even
center.
notice
Yeah,
that.
if you notice the games they're showing, I mean, they're also showing PC games, but if you notice when they show the first screen of it in the trailer, it shows a list of recently played games. It was Control, Doom, like all Game Pass, or those two which are Game Pass
Or
games.
maybe Game Pass just has some really good games to
Well,
show
no,
off.
but this is the thing. This is the thing.
No,
When-
they choose the games
Yeah,
carefully.
yeah. I mean, you do trailers, you edit, right? When they're specifically showing something. You know what I mean? Like,
There is definitely a discussion as to which games should be shown, and that is a discussion that takes quite a bit of effort and chatting and board
And talking.
and chatting it out, getting it ready, and so it was a discussion, and that's the games they chose. So that's interesting, Jordan.
yeah, because I think this is the one. This is the actual Steam trailer, right? Yeah, this is it, right? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's I think, and why would Phil tweet that? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he does that for. I mean, that's just good. It's good business. It gets you out there. It gives you like a nice appeal, a friendly appeal. So I don't think that there's
Look right here. If you pause it
necessarily-
right here.
Yeah, Control. That is true.
We're looking
Ghost
at the
Runner.
prices.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh.
If you went back to the very beginning because it looped.
Yeah, he
right here.
is
If you
right.
pause it right
Control,
there.
Doom, Hades,
Control, Doom,
all-
Hades, and I think that's Ghost Runner on the right. Is Ghost Runner on Game Pass? I don't know.
think
Those
so.
first two are for
The
sure.
first three
and
are.
I think
Hades is as
just
well.
came to Xbox or is just coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point.
Good call, Jordan.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying.
You know-
Mark, they specifically showed that for a reason. You know.
Jordan's strength is dissecting
Videos,
like-
copyright videos in particular.
copyright trailers. Just so you guys know, when we were watching, this is a pre-show a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
It was about the monster movie,
Yeah.
Godzilla?
Yeah, Godzilla. versus Kong.
Godzilla. We brought that trailer up on screen in like a picture-in-picture, and Jordan was dissecting it, and basically YouTube
Yeah.
shut us down
Yeah.
live.
They lied. They
Yeah.
said stop streaming,
And
so we had to turn it off.
Jordan, the Illuminati got involved, I think,
Yeah,
because he
it
was
was
saying
pretty
some things that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Spoiler alert: the movie sucked. It was actually really disappointing because the first two, like, you're getting hyped, and it was a shame. They got to come back and make a good one. So.
Yeah, it was.
We need good monster
So
movies out there.
I'm just saying that Jordan knows his trailers, and
So-
we're looking at this. Yeah.
So this is on Steam OS, Steam operating system. However, it is open software. You can
Open source.
Open source. Sorry, open source. You can load Windows on it. You can hook this up to your computer. They're right there. It's kind of like a mini laptop. It's supposedly pretty powerful.
Yeah, speaking of pretty powerful, I'm going to go to the screen where it shows some of the specs.
Yep.
Let me go back a little bit because I hate these little.
Yeah, can you like cancel those things?
I don't know.
No, you can't. You can't.
that
Sorry.
sucks. Okay. Well,
Carrie.
let's just look at the most
Sorry,
expensive
I
one.
like that first one.
Is that CDN mean Canadian?
Canadian, yeah.
Okay. What is $819 in USD?
Let's just say it's USD. Let's say 900 USD. I don't know. Say 800 USD.
Okay, whatever. So it comes with an NVMe drive,
512 gigabytes.
512.
Anti-glare etched glass. An exclusive carrying
it's not
case.
really giving us any specs of the actual device. It's telling us that it has really pretty glass.
Yeah, I mean the NVMe SSD is.
Well,
That's
it's
big. Yeah, that's way- that's
Steam.
way good.
Steam is Valve is very user friendly, so I would assume there's expansion slots for memory.
I don't know, to be honest.
Because I know Valve is they are very user friendly, like towards the users, you know.
Do you?
But
think,
we don't know that with hardware though.
Yeah, their hardware is very.
I mean, this
during the trailer, I think they showed the top. I'll take a peek.
I'm going
at
to
the
pause
top.
it again because me and David were having this conversation before the show.
Yeah, it's Game Gear.
It looks just like a Game
It's
Gear.
Valve's Game Gear.
It's Valve's Game Gear.
It really does. Even the screen with that black outline around it, that is Game Gear.
It totally looks like that. That's pretty sweet.
Oh, it's 650 USD. Fitzy says.
Okay, thanks
For the top one.
Thanks, chat. Chat's always so good. Fitzy, you're great. So yeah, interesting. I think as far as like the ergonomics of the thing, it does not look too comfortable. Although looking at this angle, it looks like the bottom right and left corners
like it kind of.
bevel in a little bit, so maybe it's not as
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
I was watching
as
some reaction to it. That like Valve let all these people come in and try it out for a few days, and everybody's reaction was it's pretty comfortable.
Yeah, how heavy is it? Because that's because mobile
know.
gaming, you got to think weight.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
you're playing.
Is it girthy?
Girthy?
Chad is also saying there is an expansion slot for the SD memory.
Yes, yeah, I figured there would be. So I wouldn't mind buying the lower one, the $600 one, or the base one, and then just expanding my own memory, like basically like with the Switch.
Make it more girthy.
Make it more. No, this is exciting to me. It feels like I was excited when the Nvidia Shields came out, but this feels. I don't know. It feels like the next step of the Shield. So I'm kind of excited to see how this works. You know.
Yeah. So here's the specs right here.
Perfect.
We're running with the AMD Zen 2
Oh,
chip.
Zen 2. Good Zen.
It's got 4 cores, 8 threads, 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz. It's has an AMD RDNA 2
for its GPU.
GPU. Yep. 8 core GPU units, 1.64 GPU clock speed, 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. 64 gigabytes the top one is the 512 NVMe SSD. We've got 7-inch touchscreen. It's interesting that it's touchscreen. That looks bigger than 7 inches. 7 inches is not that big.
I know.
It's 1280 by 800 resolution. 60
But
hertz.
it's still girthy, David. I mean, come on.
The 60
Yeah,
hertz.
it's not all about
it
length.
does have dual mics, USB Type C, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. That beats Nintendo Switch with that. Battery is 40 WHR. I don't know what that means, but I do know battery life is anywhere from 3 to 6 hours.
Well, see, what's interesting about that is the fact that it's touch screen is going to make the battery not be nearly as good as it could be.
Yeah.
If it wasn't touch screen, that would have saved a lot.
Why touchscreen though? You
Well,
know what
I mean, because
Just
that's-
make it easy to navigate. Depending on
there's an audience that plays a lot on
Yeah,
mobile,
yeah.
and so I'm sure they're trying to dip into that a little bit. That they're used to a lot of mobile style input.
Brother
Yeah.
Buddha in chat says I'd rather use this than my phone for xCloud.
no, yeah, I would do.
Yeah. So what's interesting, the reason that we bring it up because I feel like Valve just built a portable Xbox for Xbox because of Game Pass. And what's very interesting here is because Game Pass is all about the ecosystem and setting itself up, and Xbox is the way that it is, it can take advantage of these technologies from a distance.
So are you saying that then this could be the cloud-based gaming device?
It could be. It's yet to be seen whether or not it will be. What is interesting about this is I think it's really cool. However, with these types of games, having a PC, having a console at this point is probably still the best way to play. Or the best way to play is they hook up a mouse and keyboard and they have it on a monitor like a computer. And so what's interesting, and that's where it's so hard to beat Nintendo in the portable game, or to even have half the success. PlayStation tried to do it and built, really good handhelds with the Vita.
That being said, I'm going to say this. It might be unpopular. I don't think this device will dent Nintendo's market.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just don't. And meanwhile, Nintendo has a potato comparatively.
Like hardware?
Yeah, hardware-wise.
Totally.
Well, just Nintendo's focus,
they're not hardware.
software focus, right?
Should we buy this, guys?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Which version would we?
Let's start with the base version. Because what if it sucks?
Here's my thing, though. It's the biggest hurdle that this thing is going to have is its battery life. 3 hours.
That's the same. It's equivalent to the Switch. I looked it up.
Correct, but whenever I play the Switch on mobile, I'm actually plugged into something.
Yeah, that's
well. I mean, that's how this will be.
That's probably how this will be.
It's USB-C, right?
Yes, it is.
And that hasn't hurt the Switch. But again, you're probably on the Switch more consistent. So on the Switch, you're probably consistently on that 6 hour mark. Whereas here, it will totally depend on the game.
So what?
Because some games are going to be just so graphically intense.
What do you bring then? Do you bring the Switch or do you bring this thing when you're going somewhere?
I bring them both.
But
no, I think the Switch. I think the Switch wins because
I also,
depends what I'm really playing
that holds both
at the time. A case that holds, on Amazon you'll be able to get it.
A dual case.
You would just put a handle on it so it'd be like the old cube,
the old GameCube.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I think if this does do cloud so it's open source. So you said you can put Windows on this?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's Game Pass right there. I mean, if you
put Windows on
you
don't even need cloud.
Now that being said,
if it has Windows on it,
you get achievements too.
That being said, even though it's open source, I don't feel like the majority of people will do that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a percentage of people that'll do that, but I don't think that percentage is going to be relatively high. If you look at the beginning, they obviously have their own software for it. I think one of those. I really think one of those tabs is going to be a Game Pass tab.
I don't know, Jordan. I believe
because it's Valve. It's Steam OS.
I think
so. It's just whatever Steam is.
Yeah. I think the audience that's going to get this would
probably do it.
I think power users get this. It's an $800 or it's a $650 Switch. When you can have the Switch or this, and you choose this or you get this, you're kind of a PC power user.
Yeah.
Can we go back real quick to where he's hooked up to the PC? He has it hooked up to a mouse, keyboard, and monitor. Because what's really interesting here, and then just let it play. Yeah, right here. What is on? Is that his chat? I think that's his Steam chat.
No, it's his friends list.
Yeah, because and watch, it'll move on his. So he has it docked, and on the dock on the screen,
he's browsing a website.
I think someone logged off.
Yeah, someone. It looks like it, like something moved there. It moved.
It moved.
It moved.
Duro, aka Ryan, says in chat, pre-orders on this are sold out anyways. I mean, you would have expected that. I do think they rolled it out was really smart. I think their trailer where they talked about it, they had the developers and stuff sitting there talking about it, was really smart. It was a good way to go. They did a good job hyping this thing up. It seems to have all the bells and whistles. It's got, directional gyroscopes in. It's got mouse pad features, and everybody that I've watched that has a chance to play it says it takes 10 minutes or so to get used to it, but when it does, it feels it feels a lot like a mouse.
Yeah.
And there's cool technology in it. So for instance, they have those mouse pads, or even the joysticks. None of those moves unless your thumb is on it. It can detect if it's your thumb or not, that's a cool technology.
Wait, it can detect if you have a thumb or versus what else?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. But I think the reason is so that if you accidentally bump it, it doesn't mess up your game.
I'm sure you can just disable them altogether.
Yeah,
too.
It looks very customizable. Regardless, Thoughts on making this the portable Xbox?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah. That's actually, it's super cool.
Yeah, and if you're doing it through the cloud, all you need is an internet connection, so you're not you probably won't be like sucking down the battery. You know what I mean?
You have a hard drive, like you have a big hard drive on this with an SD portable as well. That I'm sure you can get a big one and put all your games on.
Big boy.
You can get a big boy.
I think you're not going to need cloud for this.
Yeah.
You're going to have all the games installed on the
Directly,
device.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see if this succeeds, because I think
But it could be
Hey,
cloud.
hold
too.
on, go back. Here, go back. Do you think that is intentional?
What
What
are you
is- what
saying?
is-
So their buttons are A, B, X, Y.
That's kind of the.
I think it's pretty standard.
There's
Yeah.
only one other controller that does that.
No.
The Super
Xbox
Nintendo
controller.
one does it
Nintendo
too.
does it.
No, they do
Maybe XY.
No, don't they
Their
do like?
triggers are Z.
Jordan.
Oh, is it Z?
The SNES had it.
That's right. Theirs are just like okay. No,
They're
you're
just
right, you're
backwards.
right. Yeah, they're just backwards.
It's
Yeah, that's why. Okay.
YXBA,
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
which
those
always
guys.
screws me
Yeah,
up.
It does.
yeah.
It really does.
Okay, never mind. I take
Especially
that
in
back.
QuickTime events.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm trying to dive.
There's only
too
one
deep into
that's
this.
different, actually, and that is.
I mean, that
Sony.
does look like an
It even
Xbox.
has the hamburger button.
That does look
Yeah.
like an
See
Xbox
that?
hamburger button
It
and
is.
an Xbox joystick.
And what's nice is on the backside, it's got the.
What were you saying?
Anyways, it's just really interesting. I think what it does show is that the fact that people can get excited about this as a portable Xbox, the strategy is correct in my mind. I really believe it. I think we're seeing the flexibility of Xbox this generation, with being able to take advantage of these new technologies is just super cool.
I'm interested to see how hot this gets in your hands too, because it's running some pretty good. It's only 7 inches.
But
Look
it
at
is-
the cooling
well,
though.
what's-
Look at the
Yeah, look
intake
that
at the
thing.
top, and then
Look
the
at-
exhaust right there.
That's a big exhaust. That's That's almost half
bigger than
of
my
the backside.
car.
Yeah, that thing. I bet you it does run hot, really hot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's going to. The fans are going to be cranking. That's why it's only 3 hours, because they have to cool the thing.
Yeah. Jordan, we were talking earlier this week about MMOs. We're thinking about getting in. The big debate right now is Warcraft, Final Fantasy. Some big streamers have moved over to Final
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy. Not the only, but I feel like there's the big three. Correct me if I'm wrong. World of Warcraft, Final
Yeah.
Fantasy, and ESO.
Yeah, I feel like
that would be
I
the
think
big
they're
three.
your big theme park, mainstream MMOs.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy is hot in the news right now because
No, it's really hard.
because Warcraft is seeing an exodus. I don't know if we can say mass exodus, but we can say an exodus.
Yeah.
And just kind of making some PR
And
mistakes.
some big high end streamers.
Asmongold streaming to
Asmongold, yeah.
200,000 people.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Well, I was watching it the other day when he was doing like base raids. He's still over at 100,000. Like the
Yeah.
guys. I mean, people are craving the game.
and it does show you the power of streaming because
Yeah.
Spicy and I have not talked all week. And we talked today, and I was like, Spicy, I'm thinking about getting into Final Fantasy. And he said, so have I.
Yeah.
And it shows you the power of streaming, the power of hype. Now, out of the big MMOs, and Asmongold actually brought this up, but out of the big MMOs, the big three, ESO is the only one on Xbox, and now is owned by Xbox. So that's cool.
Maybe that's why people don't go over.
So that's cool.
So that's cool. But PlayStation, do you think Final Fantasy has a good chance of coming to Xbox? We've had a lot of Square Enix games coming to Xbox recently on Game Pass. What prevents Final Fantasy from coming
That's
to
the
Xbox?
question.
That's the big question is we don't know. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but you remember I think it was the Fan Fest when it was in Mexico City, where Phil Spencer and they had the Japanese guys out there and they're all like, oh yeah, it's coming. Where all these new Japanese or all these new Final Fantasy games are coming. It's when we got, I think we got 7, 10, 11, or 10, 12. We got all the games coming to Game Pass. And Phil Spencer said at the end, or they said, I don't know if he said it in the interview or in like a news post afterwards, but he said to the effect that yes, there is one game missing from this list, and that is 14. We are working on it right now.
Yeah.
And the main reason, from what I understand, Yoshi P, who's the game director over Final Fantasy 14.
The goat.
Basically, he's the Japanese like Todd Howard. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
he's that guy's the man. Anyway, he was saying the reason he didn't bring it to Xbox initially, and again, just paraphrasing, is because they were closed down. Like if he was going to put his game on Xbox, that his game
It
would
has to
play.
be cross-platform.
It would be cross-platform, cross-progression, everything with PlayStation and PC. And his mentality is our community is not going to be divided. We are going to have one. And that's genius.
I think it's a really smart, because right now that's how it is, whether you're playing on PC or PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3 and now PlayStation 5. You all play together with Final Fantasy Online. I think it's a good move on his part. It makes your community bigger, and in an MMO, you want MMOs.
Yeah. No, and this is what
massively multiplayer.
This game, I mean, we see how well it's doing. We see how well it's doing right now. Just this week, I mean, it's sold out on their website. Like the game, an MMO literally sold out. From what I understand, the influx in players, they didn't have enough keys generated, so they had to go and generate more keys. It didn't have anything to do with like server limitations.
So
it was the keys.
Let me ask you this: ESO is everywhere. It's on PC and all consoles,
and it's probably why it has the most players.
I
think it does.
And sorry, is it not cross account? Is it
no.
cross play?
No, it is
cross
not.
platform?
No, it is not.
Interesting. Is that an architecture issue, I wonder?
Well, they always say it is. But the thing is I don't think it is. Well, I mean, okay. I think there's probably stuff that they have to work with, and there's probably some stuff they have to do to make it happen. But I feel like you could probably get about 5 guys on that, and they could work it out. You know what I mean?
Says us who have no idea.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, let's take Omar Gonzalez from Blizzard. They said, no, man. No, Omar, you can't do it. You can't make Classic WoW come back. He locked himself in his office for a day and came out and said, hey, I made it happen.
If Omar could do it... So so I know what is Square Enix's big reveal? Remember they were having like a big reveal, a few months ago about Final Fantasy 14?
Well, they got there. Well, Square Enix is in a great spot right now.
And everybody thought they were going to reveal that Final Fantasy Online was coming to Xbox.
It was during their big kind of fan fest stuff.
Yeah.
They talked about PlayStation 5 and the graphical updates and stuff like that, and everybody was like, oh, and they're going to say Xbox, and then nothing happened. And to my surprise, because there's a few bigger content creators in the Final Fantasy space that I like to watch on YouTube and stream and stuff. To my surprise, they were actually disappointed.
Well, it's
because it brings in an audience. It enlivens the game.
Well, and the idea was like, hey, the more players we have, the better. I mean, why? And that's when the question arose, why? Like, and that's when everybody's like, we know they've talked about it in the past. People want it to happen. There's a demand for it to happen. Why is it not happening? The only thing I can think of right now is maybe Sony has some type of console deal with it, but neither Square Enix or Sony have ever said anything about it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the barriers have been, and maybe Xbox hasn't knocked down those barriers yet. It feels like they have been knocked down.
Well, when games accidentally loop in Sony and Microsoft accidentally on their end,
like Fortnite.
Yeah.
And let's just hit that switch and send a signal.
It's an accidental switch.
Yeah, that's like firing over the bow, sending a warning shot.
Yeah. So, and the game we're watching.
It happens on accident. Let's put somebody in a room for a day.
Like Omar. Go get Omar.
Yeah, that guy's a legend.
So, give me. Because the reason that I'm bringing this up is because we've been thinking about playing it. I don't want to get started if it comes over to Xbox and I can't switch account. So, for instance, I've wanted to play ESO.
No. It's one.
I've wanted
solid
to play
account.
ESO on the PC because I just think it looks so good on the PC, and the way that the interface is, the UI, it just looks better. But I don't want to play ESO on the PC because I can't bring it over to Xbox.
No, it's all login based. So, for an example, my brother-in-law played from his PlayStation 4. He bought it. He can now buy it on the PC, and he logs into his same account. It's all cross.
But you do have to buy it separately.
Yes, the only thing you have to it's basically think of Destiny. Destiny is cross play or cross progression everywhere you go, but you do have to buy the content for each platform, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with. I said this again. I've already bought Overwatch like 8 times. I would buy the game over and over. Yeah, I buy the game over and over again. That's why I don't mind paying and supporting the developers multiple times if I can bring my progression with me. And in Final Fantasy, you can do that.
Give me your prediction, Jordan. In the next year, do you think Final Fantasy Online comes to Xbox?
I hope so. That's all I can say. I really hope so.
That's all I can say about that.
No, yeah. No, I do think right now Final Fantasy is in an awesome position because they have this huge influx of players. All these streamers are coming to play the game, and the thing on top of that is they're enjoying the game, and you have a huge free trial that all these new players can try out. And then cherry on top, they're riding in the next 2 months. We're getting a whole new expansion. Like,
and
they're
on top of that, your competition is imploding.
Well, no, I actually think that's why the influx is there.
No. But what I'm saying is they don't have to worry about, like, at least anytime soon. It doesn't look like Blizzard can right the ship immediately. It's going to take time if they do.
Well, I think they've been slowly sinking for a long time.
Yeah. So that's actually why.
I mean, we could talk about.
Yeah, I would like to talk. So, big news on the Blizzard side. We're big Blizzard fans. Big Spicy, Jordan, you guys play Overwatch, which is on the Xbox.
I used to be a Blizzard fan. Can I amend that a little bit?
Yeah.
I used to be a Blizzard fan. I am now a Blizzard game fan. I'm not a fan of Blizzard anymore.
Interesting.
I feel like my loyalties have shifted slightly.
Well,
I still enjoy their games.
It's because what they used to bring out was always top tier quality.
I feel like they have forgotten about me.
Oh.
I really do. I think Blizzard. I mean, Blizzard before. I mean, they were like god tier developer. Everybody
really
looked up to Blizzard.
Agreed.
And
they could do no wrong.
I've said this many times on the show. They can only crush my balls so many times, but I still come back to their games because I love them. However, what we're about to talk about is kind of the. There's been a lot of rumors and stuff, and there's been some posts and threads where employees were fed up and they just started posting what was going on. Allegedly, what's been going on, and a lot of things make sense after.
Yeah,
so that fits a lot of the puzzle pieces.
Well,
so there was a post dropped this week, it's supposedly internal from a developer, allegedly,
so
where he talked a little bit about some of the turmoil that is happening at Blizzard right now regarding World of Warcraft. Probably kicked it off. Asmongold kicked it off when he started streaming. For those of you that don't know, he's the world's largest World of Warcraft streamer.
Well, I think he's the world's largest streamer.
He switched over. He switched over to Final Fantasy for the first time. And when he did, a Blizzard developer, and I don't know if it was multiple, tweeted out that he's an asshole.
Well, it was in like a thread of tweets,
which is always a good thing to do.
It was it was a specific community trying to get their community to grief him while he plays, and what the big deal was a Blizzard higher up kind of supported that.
Yeah, and they basically
that's what caused a lot of issues.
A certain tweet said, "Hey, we should ruin Asmongold's experience," basically, and the Blizzard developer said, "Yeah, that guy's an a-hole."
Well, and then what's interesting is Final Fantasy developers helped him.
Everybody that griefed him banned within like 3 hours. All banned. Boom, boom, boom.
And some of them were banned for 9 days.
And Asmongold says, "Wow, it's so nice to have a developer care." And that right there. And then you see this happened like last week.
Yeah.
And all the influx of people jumping ship from World of Warcraft going into this game. I mean, because of the power of streaming, right?
Yeah.
And everything that's happened and seeing a developer care and Asmongold enjoying himself and other people enjoying this game, and the hype just increases. Blizzard's not in a good spot right now. They do not look good. Yeah, especially because of what's been going on.
Yeah, and then the leak comes out from a developer, and he talks about Overwatch. He mentions Overwatch in the leak as well. Spicy, will you explain that? And then just give your thoughts, because we talked a little bit about it before the show, and he basically said what you have said before, why Overwatch isn't what it once was, perhaps.
Sure. I mean, the alleged, leaks just talked about how Overwatch is the fascination that Blizzard has with Overwatch is its esports scene, and the game is. And I've said this before many times, and I'll say what I say, and the comments in it were basically the same. The game is balanced from the top down. Blizzard actually likes to do this quite a bit with their esports games. They do it in StarCraft a lot. They do it in these types of games. They do it in Overwatch. They definitely don't balance it for consoles, which I would say are the more casual player base for sure. And they're specific to balancing it and having the game appeal to pro players. What that does, I mean, that's fine, but what that does is it alienates a lot of casual players, and it alienates a lot of maybe just more hardcore but not pro level players as well. It makes it so your user base declines a little bit, just by naturally what that does to a game. And that is one of the reasons that this message, I've been saying that for a long time. Like, I wish they cared about consoles. I wish they cared a little bit more about people that don't have the APM and the skill base to play it,
aren't trying to be pro.
Thousands
just
of hours,
enjoying the game. Yeah, exactly. And so it actually whoever posted that mentioned that their fascination with Overwatch being just specific to esports and nothing else is actually hurting the game.
Yeah, which is really, really interesting. Captain Obvious in chat says, I love Overwatch. I'm a huge fan, but I'm really disappointed at Overwatch 2 and the stuff we've seen.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I still don't think we really know what Overwatch 2 is.
I don't think you should call it Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I don't.
And
I
where,
still don't understand.
Where is it? It's been a long time since they posted that. Yeah, it's going to have PvE maps now.
Moral of the story.
That's it.
Just because you're on top doesn't mean you'll always be on top. And I think...
Well, and that's actually the big message that this post was talking about is they have had the attitude for so long, we just are king and nothing's going to dethrone us.
Well,
so we can do whatever we want.
What's really interesting about that is all the big streamers and content creators have been using the World of Warcraft line when Arthas the Lich King dies.
What did
He was told, no king rules forever. So everybody's been saying, as Blizzard taught us.
Yeah.
No king rules forever.
Which is, I mean, the post went into, I mean, I don't play World of Warcraft. I played Classic for a little bit, but
we had fun.
I actually really enjoyed Classic a lot. It was a good time. Time sync though, I had to live on with go back to living. But they did even mention it's a really interesting article. I'm sure you can find it online if you want to. Not article, but screenshots of posts. And he talked about even the disappointment with the storyline. Did you catch that, Jordan?
I'm
Sylvanas.
What they're doing with Sylvanas, I think, is I'm just gonna say it. It's horse crap. Like it's terrible. Like I don't like what they're doing with Sylvanas.
Well, and he did mention their attitude is they will like it. They just don't know they'll like it.
Yeah,
which is fine because I do think that sometimes that creative license, and if you're, for instance, like a Phil Jackson, right? I think they're gonna like it, and if it does work out, it works out. But that's not necessarily the case. Yeah,
the whole storyline with Sylvanas goes all the way back to, I would say, Legion, the expansion. That story was decent when Sylvanas in Legion becomes the war chief, and that's the only thing I'll say. I won't go any forward, right? She becomes the new war chief of the Horde, and I think, that's a good pick. I like that, right? And I like that story with her, and I like how she becomes war chief. I was okay with that. Some people were, anyway. But since then, like going into BFA and now this new Shadowlands expansion, her story is just to be honest, I feel like there's no creativity. They're doing the same thing they did last time. It's basically another garish hellscream, oh, good guy, bad guy, oh, redemption. It's the same story we've heard over and over again, So it's just, and I just don't like what they're doing. Like, she is the reason I don't like what they're doing with her, because I think she's actually a very cool character. Her whole story with Arthas leading up to when she, like the whole story from the beginning, like her whole interactions with Arthas through Wrath of the Lich King, and then leading up to Legion where she becomes the war chief, I think is really solid stuff. And then after that, they're just like, oh, well, we should ruin her.
They're Disneying it.
Yeah, it's just, and in the post, they even like spoil what's going to happen. And if that does happen, well, then we'll know the post was true.
Well, if it's spoiled, they might change it though.
Yeah.
Too.
So, and I hope they change it because I don't.
A good thing.
But see, they're so far, you can't really change to anything good now. I mean, you can do a few things to kind of negate the story you've told before, but this whole last patch, 9.2, I think we're on, right? 9.1, sorry. The storyline with her at the end of the raid, it's just, it's like...
One thing that I do respect Blizzard on is their aggressive strategy. And then I knew this before. It isn't like new knowledge, but to beat their competition, they would specifically schedule releases whenever their competition had a release. That is hilarious. That is hilarious and
Because
awesome.
at the time, I mean, you can probably still argue it now if you want, but they're the king, right? They're on top. Everybody's going to come back and play the game.
And with a game like that, you cannot play anything else.
You can't play anything else. Yeah. Anyways, it's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this evolves over time. Diablo 4 was mentioned in that post.
Didn't it say like we did? They did the mobile thing, and they had no plans for number 4.
Well, I think
what it said.
The reason that the post everybody thinks it's real is because it feels real. Because when you watch the Diablo, they had no clue that this would not be well received, and that is indicative of a company being out of touch, at least at the higher levels.
Out of touch. That's actually how I would describe them.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing is, even if this isn't true, a lot of the stuff that was said in there is how the general Blizzard consumers feel right now.
Assume and feel,
yeah.
Happening. So yeah, that's why it feels really accurate. Anyway, it's really interesting. We're only 10 days away from Flight Simulator, by the way. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's dirty.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, it looks like we're going to get the same PC experience.
Yeah, it's super cool. So there was an article over on Pure Xbox that talked about this.
Yeah.
They were talking about. I'll just read the quote. So it's just the very last quote. It's I believe it's one of the game developers that said this. He says, quote, "What you see right now." So we're talking about the graphics and the fidelity, like the game itself. So we're talking about the game of Flight Simulator. What you see right now that people are impressed by on a $3,000 PC. Guess what? It comes pretty much unchanged to a $500 console. And we are putting things in place to bring it to even lower spec devices like phones.
Arouses me.
And what they talk about later in the article is they talk about we can have this box, this console, this $500 Xbox, play this game basically at unchanged from PC settings because they're using a lot of cloud stuff.
Wow.
So what? And then that's why he says, and we're putting stuff in place. So can you imagine getting Flight Simulator fidelity on your phone?
Ooh, the lolly.
And not because your phone's a supercomputer, but just because
it's using the power.
Yeah, because it's using the power of the cloud. Yeah,
it's exciting. We're all jumping in day one on the Series X, flying with our joysticks,
our Thrustmasters.
Are you guys going to get the new?
I don't think I am. Although I would like to experience it.
The new Turtle Beach controls.
Yeah, the yoke.
I'll tell you what.
The flight yoke.
I would get those if I dive
How much are those
into Flight Simulator? $300.
Let's just get them. What's $300?
You know what? Yeah, why not?
Question:
Okay.
Would you rather get that? Would you rather get the yoke or the Steam Deck?
I would say the yoke.
And you just see the problem that Steam Deck has to sell itself.
You know, it is a price point. $650 is a lot of money.
That's more. That's a Series
And
X
it's going to be sold out for a long time, so I'd rather get the yoke now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will the yoke enhance your experience?
Oh
that
yeah.
much?
Have you ever used a yoke?
Are you kidding?
Have you used the flight yoke before?
I've never used the yoke. I've used the joystick that you guys.
Yeah,
have.
no, the yoke's even better.
No, yeah. I will not play Flight Simulator without some sort of erected device that I can thrust forward.
Especially when you get the Top Gun.
Oh yeah,
Top Gun expansion.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're good.
It's super exciting. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think this. It's been niche. I think we're about to see Flight Simulator not be niche. Like games or consoles always use car games to show off how pretty they are. Microsoft now has Forza and it has this Flight Simulator to show the power of the Xbox Series X. It's going to be really, really exciting. Cooper asks in chat, how big do you think the game will be to install? I think they talked about it, and I think it comes in right around 100 gigs. Am I correct on that?
Dude, to be honest, they're all. I just assume it's going to be
a rotating 100 gig.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that as you play, you're downloading another 100 gigs as you play.
I just assume every game is over 100 nowadays. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
Like
It's 83.
I just
Well,
play it.
that's what it is on the PC. So what they don't know what it is. They imagine it's going to be around the same on the Xbox.
But you keep in mind that 83 is just the game, not the actual satellite data that you'll be pulling in 24/7 as you play.
Yes. Make sure you.
I wonder if the setting is going to be the same.
Like cap for data
Yeah,
caps. The big
well,
warning.
it'll be like, just so you know, if you have Comcast, you're screwed.
Yeah, if you have data caps, yeah. Yeah.
If you're one of the ISPs that are idiots, you're screwed.
Yeah, and yeah, don't go with them. It puts them out of business. Everyone just leaves.
Just don't. Well, who else is there? Kind of thing. That's the problem.
No.
I don't want to get on the soapbox.
Yeah, not a fan.
But I think data caps are evil, and I think they're stupid.
Amen.
And you know what it's like? I'm just going to
price
say
gouging.
yeah. It's like if a plumber. This is what when the solicitors come to my house, the Comcast solicitors, I actually have a heated discussion with them all the time. It's actually quite funny. And I'm like, I'm a power user, dude. I'm not an idiot. You can use all these phrases that I know what you're saying and I know what they mean, and you're lying to me. Anyways, it's like if a plumber put pipes in your house and then charged you monthly for the water going through those pipes. That is what data caps is. And they charge you more for more. It bugs the crap out of me, and I hate them. I think data caps are a lie. I think they're stupid, and I think they should be abolished.
Preach.
Data caps are stupid. It's an invented thing to make more money.
Yeah.
And people just they're not as educated as some tech users would be. So they just allow it.
It's like when they started charging for an extra bag.
Well, what's funny is it's
on
not
the
like
airplane.
I think you made the comment one time too, Mark. It's like it's not like there's a guy out there like digging it up. Like it's there.
It's data. They're not creating this data. It's coming from that computer out in Alabama, and they're using their pipes to get to me.
That's what's funny is
and it's sometimes not their pipes, but it's it's going from there to there. They didn't create that. They just built the pipework. The plumber.
Yeah, well,
Yet
like
they're saying that they created that bull crap.
what's funny is and like in its most basic form, the internet is literally a bunch of computers hooked to each other.
That's
all
what
it is. So it's not like we got to go mine more,
Frustrates me, and I have these discussions with people on my porch all the time. There was one guy.
They haven't blacklisted your house? Like,
No,
don't go to his house.
Well, because Comcast, I get calls from them all the time. Comcast has like outside people that
that sell
for
it's
it,
like
and they keep calling me on an address that I had 8 years ago.
I never get.
And I'm
Comcast
like, can you
stuff,
please take me off this list? Sure, sorry.
What I do get is solar stuff.
Oh yeah, I get
all
a
the
ton
time.
of solar.
Yeah, I do too. And it's always like, hey man, you can get this for free.
This will be free. Nothing's free, bro.
Yeah, really? All right,
I don't believe you.
He had me pull out my contract of my current ISP that I have, which is no data caps, by the way, fiber that I have in this house. And he's like, show me. And I pulled it up and I showed him right there. I knew exactly where it was. And he's all, oh. And he's like, yeah. He's like, there's no way you can do a terabyte in a month. I'm like, I did that last weekend without even thinking.
Yeah, you know what's funny is so I used to work for an internet company and I had their internet for my stuff, and we could see how much you use every month. And one of the programmers was like, well, I mean, he wasn't happy with the data caps, but he was like, well, at least it's a terabyte. Not a lot of people are use it. And I was like, well, I use that. And he was like, no way. I was like, oh, yeah. So I pulled up my account and he was like, holy, it was like, it's because games are 100 gigs and you're downloading them all the time.
We're not grandmas just sending emails to our kids every week. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, Disney Plus, we have everything.
Well, and if you...
I send the biggest files to my clients you could possibly imagine. I hit that in like 3 hours.
And if you let's say you download Master Chief Collection, you're at what? 150 gigs out of 1,200, right? So I mean, that creeps up
Adds
quick.
up really quick.
Yeah.
Another 10 of those.
Then Warzone comes out with an update and you're halfway there,
That was like, he's like, there's no way you hit terabyte in a month. Are you kidding me? I do that in my sleep.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of Warzone.
Oh, okay. That is we're gaming podcast.
Yeah,
Sorry, I got on my soapbox.
No, speaking of Warzone, based on what we're seeing with Battlefield, because Battlefield was always kind of seen as the competition to Warzone, and I feel like it's kind of gone away, and Call of Duty has just established its dominance once again.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you
with Battlefield 2042 and all the news that's coming out with it.
And
it looks like we're getting an aggressive Battlefield, a well done Battlefield. Is this the battlefield to compete with Warzone?
Well, I think it is, and I think the mentality is. I mean, you take good ideas from other games, right? I mean, that's always happened. That always will happen. But the mentality, I think, this time is they said, "Hey, let's get back to basics. Let's make Battlefield. What made Battlefield fun, right? I don't think. I mean, they probably. I mean, I think games are best developed when you're in the design room and you don't. You're not saying, okay, what's the competition doing? We need to copy it and do better. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you just make a fun game, it automatically.
Can I add something that might be controversial too?
Go ahead.
I just want to say, if you're in, there's two ways to approach developing a game nowadays. There's the let's make a game fun.
Yeah.
There's probably multiple ones, or there's the what's the best way that we can push our political agenda, right? What way do you think is going to get people to buy more games?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, I think, what a lot of game developers have ran into and have lost the fight because money talks.
Yeah.
Money speaks.
And I think that this is a perfect example. Battlefield is a perfect example of that. Then don't buy our game. Well, okay, I guess I'll go play another game, right? So
I guess I'll go play the new Call of Duty.
Especially in an industry where there's just so many options.
And that what's so interesting when we've been seeing trailers and stuff with Battlefield, I think they have a
They're
PR guy.
on
They're like, I can only read this paragraph right now.
The gun is just off screen, like it's like a hostage
situation.
No, I think they do, because that last interview we saw from them when it was like a video interview, like they were asked questions and they went, "Yeah, that's actually really cool. We're gonna do cool stuff."
Well, also
Next question, like it's very
management matters. I think EA, you get the same in the same vein as Blizzard. You get so big. It's easy to lose touch sometimes, and you kind of need outside. You need to take a step back. It does feel like EA, they've restructured a lot.
Yeah.
You have really high quality leadership in there now with the way that they've done Respawn and restructured all of that and put them over games like Battlefield, Apex.
Well,
it seems super focused.
Let's go back to Battlefield 1. Again, it was that thing. I don't know how to best describe it. I'm probably, but I'm basically saying when you're in the development room and you're thinking, okay, how can we make the Call of Duty players come over? I don't think you're going to necessarily get a successful game. You can take features that work from a game and implement them into your game, but I think you need to think, how can we make our game fun? And I think they did that with Battlefield 1. Everyone was going to the future, and they said, hey, let's do our own thing. Let's go to World War I. Let's make it fun.
That's true.
And that game exploded. I do think because of sheer numbers, Call of Duty 1 sold more that year. What was it, Advanced Warfare that year or something like that? I think it was with Jon Snow that year. Was it Jon Snow that year? I think it was Jon Snow that year.
The winter is coming.
Yeah, so I mean, just because of sheer Call of Duty numbers, but Battlefield 1 was good. I mean, it had its missteps like anything else, and I think the high of Battlefield 1, they came in and they're like, oh, we can do whatever we want with World War II.
It don't stink.
I think that's what really, Jordan, you hit it on the head. When they care not about beating competition, but making the funnest game that they possibly could make. That's the approach to making games. That I think is an approach for success. Make the game fun to an audience that'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to build a game. Anyways.
Well, and that's why this Battlefield stuff is so exciting. Do you want to talk about like the big bullet points here?
Crossplay.
So the biggest one is the crossplay. Yeah. So it has been confirmed that we're getting crossplay, which is good. I do think overall crossplay is a good thing. Now, the way they're doing their crossplay, and they are testing it in their first technical alpha, it was supposed to be in early June, but they've pushed it back, which I'm okay with. They're pushing it back to later. So how crossplay is going to work is PC, Xbox Series consoles, so X and S, and PlayStation 5 will all crossplay with each other because they can all do the 128
it's like
players.
The next generation.
Yeah. So the next generation can all crossplay with each other, and then the previous generation can crossplay with each other as well, because the previous generation, they did talk about it in their post today, is a more tailored experience. So maps are a little bit smaller. There's a smaller player count. It's not forgotten. It's just a tailored experience.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's fantastic.
I think that's fine too. The big thing, which a lot of people like, is you can choose to turn on or off crossplay. Now, the reason people like this is I have some friends that play on PC and we'll probably crossplay and all this, but what people don't like, and this happens a lot with Warzone, is when you get your cheaters. Now, cheaters are most prevalent on the PC, right? I'm not saying it's impossible to have a cheater on a console, but they're more likely to be on PC because you have access to the files.
Ease of access for.
So what sucks on Xbox, at least, PlayStation doesn't have this problem because you can turn it off, but what sucks on Xbox, at least with Warzone, is Xbox, you're forced to cross-play in Warzone, and if there's a big cheating problem on PC, that sucks. You can't turn it off. So this is a nice addition because I'm not necessarily upset about playing against people with mouse and keyboard. Now that I've seen what people like Z-Laner can do on the controller,
Z-Laner blows my mind.
I'm not. I mean, I can reach that level one day, and it doesn't matter what I play with. I'm just dominant. But it's the cheaters that are frustrating. So I like the fact that we can turn it off. The big thing that they're doing, and this is the greatest decision any game developer can ever make in the boardroom, is their game will be fully cross progression. If I play on my Xbox and I get it to level 3 and I unlock a new gun, I can jump over to my PC and I pick up right where I left off.
So cool.
All cross progression, which is great. We talked to it basically. They talked about unique specialists. I'll let you guys read the article, but one big thing I liked, which was getting a lot of stuff or talked about, is we got the new specialist system, which is everybody picks. Think of operators like in Call of Duty, but each specialist has a specific thing they can do. One person can shoot a healing dart, another person has a wingsuit, stuff like that. We got answers about this, but people were wondering, well, can you have multiple specialists in a squad? Answer is yes. You can have more than one unique specialist per squad, which is fine. They talked about specialists are going to have different skins, so certain specialists will look different. Basically all the Call of Duty stuff. Think Call of Duty with the operators. How you can have different skins. So we can have multiple specialists per squad, which is cool. They also talked about the equipping your loadout. So this is the first Battlefield where you can fully customize your loadout no matter what character class you're playing. So a lot of people asked, well, is everybody going to run around rocket launchers? Which can happen. I think this is a part of the sandbox. So yes, if you want 128 players to run around with rocket launchers, you can, but there are things in place to balance it out. If you decide to go, and they said this right in their blog post, if you decide to choose a more explosive approach for your equipment slot, because you can choose your equipment slot, then you won't be able to carry a medical crate or a supply crate. So you have to give up one or the other. So it's basically a balancing effect. If you want to have a rocket launcher, you have to give up having ammo. And you have to depend on getting ammo from your teammate, which I also think is good because now you're depending on other classes to help you, which I think is good, I think is a very Battlefield experience.
Sure.
Same with medical crates. You can have a little bit of ammo, but then you have no meds, so you have to depend on your teammates and stuff. So we'll see how it works when we get into the game. I doubt that we're going to have 120 players. Basically, everybody's going to use whatever gun's overpowered anyway. So, but I just think those are nice little things. This blog post again, They started out by saying, hey, we've been listening to your feedback. We hear your concerns. Here's our answers to those concerns and what we're thinking about doing. I don't know who they hired, David. You should look into it.
They hired somebody.
But they hired someone, or they got someone that said, hey, this is how we need to treat the community. This is how we need to answer. They're saying all the right stuff.
Yeah.
And they're doing all the right things. We'll see what happens when the game launches, right? As of right now, I'm very hyped for it. They got me back in the Battlefield zone. And we'll see what happens when the game comes out. But a lot of cool, exciting stuff.
Yeah, no.
Coming out of Battlefield.
And just watching what they've put together, the assets that they have to show off the game, it just seems focused and serious, and it looks like a good time. Really super exciting there. Spicy, you've been playing Full Throttle. What is that? I saw you on today, and it was like Full Throttle. I was like, what is Full Throttle? Remastered.
It's a fantastic
What is it?
from my childhood.
Are you riding a bike around? Is that
No,
what it
it's
is?
an old Tim Schafer game. What's
okay.
so great?
Tim Schafer's he's a cool guy.
He's way cool. I was going through this week. I went through all the Game Pass games, and I saw, isn't he Take-Two, right? He's the with the Psychonauts.
Yeah.
They released all his games on Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's because his studio's owned by Microsoft.
Yeah,
now.
so awesome. It's absolutely. Oh, here, I'm gonna turn this off real quick, David. Sorry. So I got Full Throttle. I played that as a kid. I got Day of the Tentacle was on there, which I love that one.
Yeah, another point and click one. It's a fun one.
So Full Throttle, to answer your question, David, it's a badass biker Monkey Island game.
Okay.
It's a point and click with you when you're like a badass motorcyclist, and basically your game gets framed and the story ensues. And there is one motorcycle company left in the world, and the owner has some issues, or something happens to the owner or whatever, and then they're going to turn that company into a company making minivans. It's the greatest premise for a game that I've ever played.
That's like similar to John Wick premise.
That's another example of being in the development room saying, "Hey, how can we make this fun?"
It's a game from the 90s that I played on an old DOS computer. You install the
sound card
and everything. It's from my childhood. I've beat it before when I was like 12 years old,
and now it's on Game Pass.
I saw it on Game Pass, and
it's
already
remastered,
and I'm already 50% through it. It's such a good
awesome.
game. It's in its own world. It's very. What's interesting? I did not know Tim Schafer when I was young, so it makes sense that he made that game.
That's funny.
It has his flair on it.
It's so good.
Let's take a couple.
Mark Hamill's one of the voices in it. I'll add that in there.
Why is Mark Hamill such a good voice actor, but a terrible actor?
He's not that bad of an actor.
He's pretty bad. Young Mark Hamill, not bad.
Okay, Mark Hamill.
New Mark Hamill, it's so I could do a better job than old Mark Hamill.
At the same time, the movies that he has come out in, I don't think they really cared about the acting.
Meanwhile, but what I could not do voice actor Mark Hamill. Voice actor Mark Hamill is world class.
He's really, really
He
good.
is the Joker.
Well, I think he was... Okay, this is my theory.
Give it to me.
I think he was filmed in a movie that had so much success that acting annoyed the crap out of him. I think he was done with acting because
And he enjoys voice acting?
And voice acting is off the screen, not as much intensity from certain fans.
Yeah.
And I think it was much more relaxed for him. And I think he did that for a couple decades to kind of cool off. And then Disney brought in a whole bag of money. And,
And they said, "Hey, we'll give you a lot of money if you let us crap on your character."
Actually, I think he said this in an interview. He said, "I'll only go back if Harrison Ford goes back," because he knew Harrison Ford would never do it. But in an interview with Harrison Ford, they asked him why he did it, and he said, "I wanted to get paid." Had nothing to do with the movie, which like. Harrison Ford is an American gem.
Respect.
Oh man.
Oh, and I bet I don't know if you can look it up, but I bet he got a lot.
So
Who do you think got more?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford got the
Harrison
most. Yeah.
Ford. Yeah, I think he was the hardest nut to crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other two were probably like, if he goes, we'll go.
Yeah.
Go.
And they broke his leg on set too. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Harrison Ford?
It wasn't it like on the first day too or
Yeah.
something, and like J.J. Abrams was like, "Oh my god!"
The door fell on his leg from like the
when he walks in.
When he walks in, it fell on his leg, broke his leg as a
The
80-year-old.
Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, and then when
When
it's
he
like a
walks in, he
fake
goes,
door.
"Chewie, we're home."
It fell on his leg and it broke his leg on set. Can you believe that? This is why he doesn't.
Do we have footage of that? I'd like to see that.
No one has footage. We just know
They
that
burned it.
You want to know an interesting
You
story?
know who I'd like to see do Star Wars in their own style? Zack Snyder. Let him do it.
Sure.
Give me a DC remake of Star Wars.
Recut.
Director's cut. Zack Snyder's director's cut of Star Wars.
Can I tell
a
you-
6-hour anything will probably be good.
Can I tell you a story when I met Mark Hamill?
Oh, you met Mark Hamill?
I met Mark
Did
Hamill.
I not know this?
No, I can tell you a story, and it'll kind of explain the audience he had to deal with at the time.
Oh, I think you did tell me this before.
This is when I was in high school. He came to town. He went to one of our local colleges.
Oh, that's right. And the question and answer.
Yeah, then the Q&A. He went to one of our colleges. This is like a 3-minute story, so if no one wants to hear this, please fast forward.
Go ahead.
So he came to one of our local colleges where I grew up, and I was in high school, and I found out that Mark Hamill was coming. My older brother and my friend, were like, "Oh, how do we go?" Because it's in the middle of the day. My brother pretended he was my dad, and he checked me out of school. And so we went to this college, and we're in the back of the line. It was in this auditorium, and there's a line, and it swinged all the way around and was like jetting out the parking lot. Anyways, I'm in line, and Mark Hamill walked in from the side to go into like the green room, basically. And he sees us. We're like the little kids, well, not little, but we were not college age.
Yeah.
And he sees us and he goes, "Hey, I hope you're not ditching high school for this." And I shook his hand. I was like, I kind of, I am, whatever. It's cool, Anyways, so he goes in and we sit through he does a presentation of what he's been doing, voice acting, things like that. This is in the 90s.
Sure.
This is,
Maybe
late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
And anyways, so he goes to this Q&A session with the audience. And there were some of the craziest questions I have ever heard in my life.
Like deep lore questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
deep lore questions. There was one question. I remember the guy, we were on the fourth row. The guy was in the balcony behind me. And I think everybody slow looked back when he asked this question. But his question was to Mark Hamill. He said,
And you remember the question.
I remember the question. He said, there's a lot of us that believe that Yoda...
Did he sound just like that?
Yeah. That believe that Yoda is actually God. And we are starting a religion about Yoda being
He
God.
was serious?
Yeah. And he's like, what are your thoughts and would you support such a movement? And Mark Hamill goes... It's all silent. And he goes... Yeah, I've met some pretty weird people. And that was his whole response to that question. Didn't answer, didn't go into it or anything. And I think when you have an
Those
audience
kind of fans.
like that hounding you so much, this is my theory. I think he just had to
Disconnect.
just like the Anakin Skywalker kid did.
Did he do the same thing? Well,
The little kid or the Hayden
let's
Christian?
start spinning. That's any trick. That kid. I think fans hated him so much, and it's not that kid's fault. It's the
No, he's just-
directors,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a story. There's a lot of Lucas problems in that one, but he couldn't do acting anymore because it was so traumatic. Because
David laughs at this little kid.
so I think that's
Well, this
why
is
I think
pod
he
racing.
lateraled. Yeah, now this is pod racing. I think that's my personal theory.
but that doesn't explain why he's a bad actor.
No.
As an adult.
No, so let me answer that.
Okay.
I think he doesn't care because
Oh,
of
okay.
his
So it's
experience.
apathy. It's not. Okay.
He just doesn't give
having
an
said that,
ass.
he is
Well,
world
actually,
class
yeah.
voice actor.
I mean, the
world
thing
class.
is he is Luke Skywalker, and no one can change that. So
That's
yeah,
true. He doesn't have to do
he doesn't
anything.
have to
Well,
do it.
and back then he cared. He was an actor, but then all the influx of just crazy people.
Well,
He's become jaded.
and I think I think
It has clicked as a community manager,
to
community
be
director. I understand.
I think
jaded.
I think to be fair, and again, this might get me some heat, but to be fair, I feel like maybe 45% of his bad acting is due to how terribly written The Last Jedi was.
Well, the
I will give it
dialogue.
45%. It was terrible.
Read the dialogue in those.
I wouldn't
on
even say-
paper and
I-
see people don't talk like that.
I wouldn't even say dialogue because George Lucas had terrible dialogue. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I hate sand. Gets everywhere.
Yeah. But Natalie Portman showed up.
She's intoxicating.
Let's do some questions before we get out of here for the day. Techie87 wrote in, and Techie87 says, guys, I just bought my first gaming PC. Nothing too
Yes.
special, but it's 10 times better than my current PC. What games would you guys recommend to try first to see how it handles? I'm a Game Pass Ultimate member. Hands down, there's no question asked. You want to put your PC through its paces with the Game Pass Ultimate game, Flight Simulator.
Yeah,
no questions asked.
I mean,
see what your PC can do with Flight
It
Simulator.
may be a bit better optimized from when the first couple weeks, but it's fun. And
Still put an oscillating fan on the PC just to make sure.
I like,
you're good.
I like
Some ice packs.
I still laugh to this day because I remember.
ice.
I think I even said it on the show because we played it like the day of, and then I don't know how it lined up, but we played it like the day anyway. And I remember like, wow, this game was so well optimized. It's working great, and I'm thinking like, yeah, it's great. And then I think I took my headphones off and heard my computer cranking, and then you hit like the Windows G, and your freaking RAM is at 60%. And you're like, whoa,
redlining.
Yeah, you're like, holy cow. So. Yeah,
I would
it's
do that one. Any other ones?
Well, the thing is like I always like a lot of people like if you look at like benchmarks, a lot of people use like the Doom games for benchmarks.
yeah.
But the thing is I think the reason they use them is because those games, unlike Flight Simulator, are so well optimized.
You're going to see
for your
how
machine,
how high your frames per second
Yeah.
can go, how smooth it is.
And the fact that it's just a great game to play on the PC, the fluid movement. I mean, it's just that game is I think Doom is a PC showcase game.
Cooper in chat says Forza is a must as well. Yeah, Forza Motorsport 7. See what you can crank that up to. Forza Horizon even. See what you can crank that bad boy up to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what games are known for their graphics on PC.
Would Gears 5 be one that you could through Game Pass?
Well, yeah, because honestly, any game fills the slot because the PC gives you the menu and the options to just go ultra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's always I'll be honest, it just feels good to click the you know what, I'm not even gonna look at this menu. Give me ultra settings. And click that and it goes shadow detail.
Actually, to this day, and you can try it out. To this day, I think The Witcher 3 looks incredible on the PC with that NVIDIA hair technology. Yeah,
the hair.
If you turned it on and fought a bear, whoa!
Yeah, great question.
Great like watching Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
great question, Techie. Thank you very much for writing in. Appreciate it. Let's go to Captain Obvious. Captain Obvious says, "Hello, X1 Bros." Hi there, Captain.
Hi.
What do you think about what Phil Spencer said recently about VR and looking into the possibility of xCloud on the Oculus Quest 2? Jordan, you seem like you immediately want to say something.
It's just VR. So I've tried VR. I've tried PlayStation VR, and then we actually have tried the Oculus due to one of our supporters sending it to us to try it out, which is great. I like VR, but I still don't think it's there yet. I think we're getting better experiences, and I have heard a lot of good things about Half-Life Alyx, which I've not yet played, so keep that in mind. But all the games I have played on VR, the best way I can describe it's been more of a fun experience, and then I move on, right? It's not where I'm staying for sure. So I mean, when he says stuff like this, I mean, xCloud on Oculus Quest 2, it would be cool because then you can play. I mean, it's just I think their goal is to put xCloud wherever they can.
Yeah.
So what I mean?
For those of you that don't know, the Oculus Quest 2, it doesn't need to be tied to a PC.
Yeah.
You could go to Best Buy, you could see it, sample it out. It's all built into the headset, which is one of the big issues with VR is that you're tethered and it really it's a tedious setup, to say the least. So here's what Phil Spencer did have to say in a recent interview. I believe he was on the Kind of Funny Games show. He says, quote, "As it relates to VR specifically, the best experience that I've seen is Quest 2, and I just think its untethered ease of use and its capability just doesn't, to me, require it being connected to an Xbox in any way. So when I look at a scenario like that, I think of xCloud. I think of the Xbox Live community. I think of other things of how we could bring content to a screen like that. Whether we do something like that through first-party or third-party partnerships is kind of a second step to do we think the games that we currently have that we're able to run on our platform would work there. So it's obviously something. Here's the thing. I feel like everybody who is in the gaming business is sitting back, looking at VR and just waiting.
Yeah.
Is it going to get to a point where it's mass market appeal? It's cool. It's fun. It's very much, for me at this point, a party experience.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is if you want mass market appeal, you got to come in with prices that the mass market can pay.
Well, I mean, it's $300 for the Quest 2. That's
yeah, but
bad.
if you want like the high-end VR experience, like the new Steam
high
stuff, you're thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, I think the Quest is cool because of its untetheredness.
Yeah.
But you're not getting the same experiences of
I would buy the Quest just for Beat Saber.
Yeah.
The problem is I've got to link up my friggin' Facebook profile to it because through Facebook. Facebook owns it.
Yeah.
Do you have to because I haven't been on Facebook in I think 2.5 years.
You have to
if you get the Oculus Quest.
The Quest, because
Facebook owns Quest.
You've got to sign into their. You can't use with the one that's tied to your PC, just Quest or the Oculus. Sorry. You can use Steam VR.
This is going to be kind of a, I don't know if this is a controversial or whatever, but that's a deal breaker for me. I hate Facebook. I hate that place.
The other thing is and maybe it's changed. Someone in chat can correct me, but to my understanding,
I think that
because I really like Beat Saber.
I love
the ability
Beat Saber.
to just be in my living room with my wife on a Saturday night, or even outside for that matter, doing Beat Saber. It's a good workout. But we purchased on the Oculus on Steam VR a bunch of add-on songs. To my understanding, with the Quest 2, since you have to use Facebook, you lose all that. You have to rebuy it if you want it because it's on a separate platform.
Yeah.
I can't. If they force me to sign into Facebook with any of my electronic devices, those are going in the garbage.
We'll see, like, and
I don't
I don't remember. You don't remember.
So
remember my
thinking-
password.
That's honestly a deal breaker for me. Not because of my password, because I legitimately hate the software.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, let's say hypothetically they bring xCloud to the Quest 2 because it's wireless. You know,
Yeah.
that's the appeal. And I will admit that's an appeal to it. You're getting high quality games on your VR headset, which I think is great. But then he also brings up another point. What in our portfolio? Because I feel like you do have to make a game
It's got to be
for
the right game.
VR.
So,
Like, no offense, but I think it's great that I can sit there and
I'll
play
give
Gears
you-
of War on my VR. But at that point, why
I'll
not
give
play
you
it
a
on my...
natural fit for it because of a couple of reasons. You don't have to worry about moving around or anything like. But any Forza game,
Yeah, because you can go to the cockpit.
you can go to the cockpit. It's an experience. Flight Simulator would be the next.
But
natural
here's my thing. What's
simulation.
cool about VR, even in racing games, is when I'm in VR, like in let's say I'm in VR Forza or whatever.
Yeah.
If I turn to the left, I actually look out my window.
Yeah.
Is Forza made for that? I don't think it's developed for that. That's what I'm saying. And that's, I think, the point
No,
he's
but
making.
what I'm saying is that would be the type of game
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
pick.
Or a
Cockpit
flight
games.
simulator,
Cockpit games.
yeah.
And I think that that's where the ultimate experience is for those games because you don't have to move around outside of like a Beat Saber. You don't have to move around. It's sitting down and looking.
Beat Saber is kind of a cockpit game too because you're standing there.
Yeah, you're not moving.
and you're just
Yeah, there is a movement factor, and then there's does the movement factor match the game, and then does it make you sick? Because, for instance, Minecraft has some experimental VR stuff.
Yeah, that was
and
not
Spicy
ready.
almost threw up playing that game, and it was super cool to be in our Minecraft world in 3D. Very cool. It just didn't work.
standing there looking around was fine, but as soon as I started moving forward within 10 seconds, I was going to hurl.
Yeah.
It was that.
No, I think VR is cool, and I think there are some games that do VR really well. But I think I'm just waiting for, like you said,
think
I'm
everybody-
just waiting for that next. I'm waiting for Ready Player One.
Someone will probably do it and do it well, and when they do, look out. But we're
Yeah.
not there yet. We're not. That just doesn't exist. But it's super exciting. Captain Obvious, great question. Thank you very much. Let's do our last question. One more question, everybody. Let's do it. Let's take it from KO Connects. KO Connects writes in and says, "How does it go, bros?" I was talking with my little brother the other day, and we had a moment where I just looked at him and thought, "Quote." This reminds me of a Jordan the Bastard story, unquote. I want to know what the scenario was because that's hilarious. KO Connect says, "Where did those go, and can we bring them back?" Thanks again for all you guys and the community. Thank you very much, KO Connect. For those of you that don't know, we have shared many Jordan the Bastard story. That's just a nickname that he is. He is known as the Bastard. They'll come back. It's just, honestly, it was never like
They just have to naturally happen.
we have to let them naturally occur. Do we have the music?
I'm looking
actually for a Bastard story.
I'm looking. I can pull it up quick on this if I need to. Are you
Yeah.
going to tell a story?
No, I don't have a story right now. But part of what we need is the atmosphere and the theme, the music. If a Bastard story ever comes to fruition. Anyways, KO Connects. They've not gone away.
I do. I have it.
But
I've
let's hear
preloaded
it. Let's hear it.
Let's just-
There it is. That is.
It wouldn't, put it this way, it wouldn't be special if they were always around.
This is true. This is true. So let's just recap for those who.
We're gonna get clicked so quick on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
for
you
this.
got. Yeah, you
Oh,
might
yeah,
want to turn that.
That's right. We'll bring them back. It'll probably be a pre-show thing for the Bastard story.
Yeah. We probably already got.
We probably already got clicked right there, right away.
We cannot monetize this video now.
Right away.
It's on that pet commercial.
remember-
Maybe we can do
Well,
it.
it's not
Yeah.
even the monetization that we're worried about. There are certain songs, and you don't know what they are. They ban your video. Like, your video gets blacked out. That it
Oh yeah,
becomes
yeah. We don't
unwatchable.
necessarily care about the.
Yeah, I guess
monetization.
we're all
But
audio,
it's-
really.
We care that people can see it.
Yeah, we are here to be
So
seen.
that is, we're outlaws now. We just got
outlaws.
dinged. Hopefully Sarah will be cool with that.
Sarah McLaughlin?
Yeah.
Sarah-
Greg McLaughlin.
Sarah, we love you.
Greg.
Greg McLaughlin. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's take one more. Let's do It's Mint. It's Mint writes in and says, because this is also kind of concerning the show. He says, "What's the chances of doing a monthly guest spot? I'm sure there'd be plenty of devs out there that would love to come on the show, even done remotely for Q&A, especially indie developers' thoughts." I mean, it's something that we've discussed before. It's something
And
that we've done before.
We have done in the past. Yeah. We had.
Oh, sorry. Go
Well, I
ahead.
was just gonna say Larry Herb,
Larry Herb was
Ryan
on our show.
McCaffrey.
Ryan
Gareth
McCaffrey.
Coker was
Gareth
a cool
Coker
guy.
was really fun. Yeah, really,
was really
yeah.
cool. Still on my friends list on Xbox. He has friended me
Oh, wow.
because we were going to do Madden. He's a big Madden guy.
What's he playing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of Ori, maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of
I'm
Ori.
sure he's playing a lot of Ori 3.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy.
he
It's
was
something that
really
we've
nice.
thought about and we can do. I think what works better is instead of having it in the middle of a podcast is to have a standalone. So
Special
for
show, yeah.
instance, and especially now that we're on YouTube, we had Andrew from the Level Up show where we were able to get a PlayStation perspective a few weeks ago. I think that format works better. Quick one-on-one questions answered, out the door. It's focused. I think that it's better than stuffing it in. We used to stuff them in the middle of a podcast, and I just don't think that works as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
yeah.
concur.
It is something that we've talked about and probably will come back at some point.
Hey, are you guys cold?
Yeah, it is getting cold.
I'm a little chilly.
that thing, that air conditioner's working.
I'm a little chilly.
Freezing in
You know what that means? That means it's time to go.
Yes, it is. Oh, my gosh.
Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in this week. We hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we have. It's been a grand time here on the X1 Bros, your positive gaming and Xbox community. If you haven't, rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to the show. Also, come join us on YouTube, youtube.com/X1 Bros. All the links to all of our other crap is there. We'll see you guys next week.
Good job.